Today's date is August 21st, 2009, Friday afternoon at about 3:30 p.m. I made a call to Michael Badnarik, former presidential elector, and I believe he's calling us right now. Hello, this is April.
Hi, April. This is Michael Badnarik.
Hi. I actually wasn't expecting to speak with you today, but that's fine with me. I'll take you anytime I can get you, actually. I actually... Well, I just got done reading your book, Good to be King, for the second time now. And I thought I'd actually give you a call and see if you have any ideas on some of the things that I've been thinking about here. And also, I'm actually in York, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And I understand you moved to, was it Vermont?
Me?
No. You weren't moving?
It's New Hampshire, the Free State Project.
Okay. I heard something about that.
Yeah. I'm a member of the Free State Project, and I've made a commitment to move to New Hampshire if they can get 20,000 other people to do that. And they're only at 7,000 or 8,000. So I haven't given up on the Free State Project. I'm just busy lighting the fires of liberty here in Texas until then.
Okay, so you're still in Texas then?
Right now, yeah.
Okay. I have heard a couple rumors. One of them was that you drive your black Trans Am around with no license plate or no license?
That's correct.
That is correct. Okay, so how is it that... Okay, now I actually understand the Motor Vehicle Act and what they did. Is there anything that you formally filed with the police so that they don't hassle you every time?
No, they hassle you. They don't hassle me as often because they've pulled me over so often, and I always ask for a jury trial, and I frequently win. That, I mean, basically, how often would you hug a porcupine? You know, after the first couple times, you finally realize this is hurting you a lot more than it's hurting the porcupine.
That's true.
And so I have literally I've been traveling, and this is mostly in Austin, Texas. I'm up in Grapevine, Texas right now, which is where DFW Airport is. And, I mean, I can practically get a golf ball to DFW property. So there have been many times I was traveling through Austin on the freeway, squad car would come right up on my bumper, I mean, tailgating me, and I can see the police officer, talking on the microphone, his radio. And so, I'm ready. Go ahead, turn the lights on, pull me over. We'll do our little constitutional class on the side of the road. And then suddenly we get to an exit, and the squad car, takes a sharp right and leaves the highway. Now, it's not possible they didn't see my license plate. So basically, the conversation probably went, "Hey, bud, I got a black Trans Am here that's, without a license plate." He said, "Well, does it say Sovereign Texan?" He goes, "Yeah, how'd you know?" I said, "Oh, that's Badnarik. Leave him alone. He's more trouble than he's worth." But it's not easy, and the government lies, cheats, steals, and murders. They would do anything to get their way. So they don't even follow their own rules, even when you're trying to, drive shove their rules down their throat. One of the things that I learned about this whole thing is just how corrupt the process is. The first couple times, the police officer pulls me over and says, "Can I see your driver's license?" "No, you may not." "Why not?" "Well, because I don't have one." "Why not?" "Well, I'm not required to have one," and I go through the definitions of, driver and vehicle, and I actually give him, a copy of Title 18, Section 31 of the United States Code, which defines a vehicle as any contrivance used to convey goods or passengers for hire. And I've got the paragraph all highlighted and bolded, for the police officers. Here's your copy, so I'm educating them on the side of the road. So ultimately, I go to the police station. The first question they ask is, "How do you want to pay?" And my answer is I don't want to pay. I want a jury trial. And then they got to flutter around like chickens without a head for about 20 minutes because nobody asks for a jury trial. So then they come back and they say, okay, we'll send you a letter. Well, the first 4 times they sent me a letter. I go to trial, and the first trial, the attorney made a motion to dismiss the case. This is the prosecuting attorney. They're supposed to be putting me in jail, and he's the guy dropping the case. And so subsequently, they would I'd get to the court, and they would drop the case before I even get into the courtroom. Well, I'm thinking, I really got this thing, it's a little bit of a hassle. You got to go to the courtroom, but, I won the first 4 times. Well, what really happened is that I didn't lose. I mean, they didn't take it to trial. They basically threw it out so that I didn't have an opportunity to win. Well, eventually, I go to the police station. They said, we'll send you a letter, for your court date. Well, they don't. They lie, they cheat, they steal, they murder. And so in this case, they did not send me a letter, and I'm not omniscient or clairvoyant, so I don't know that I'm supposed to be in court. And so now the judge is going, Badnarik, and because I don't raise my hand, I didn't know that I was supposed to be there. Now I fail to appear. They put out a bench warrant for my arrest, not because I don't have a driver's license, but because I failed to appear in court. This is cheating in a big way. I mean, so now the police officer pulls me over. I think I'm going to do my 20-minute, classroom session on the side of the road. The next thing you know, I'm wearing bracelets. They take me to the Travis County, courthouse, the prison. And, next thing I'm putting all my clothes into a paper bag, and they're giving me black pajamas and little flip-flops, and I'm spending the night in jail. Well, they're doing that to try to up the ante. They want to make my life so miserable that I capitulate. They want me to go, my God, I don't want to do this again. They want me to go out and get a driver's license so I don't have to, put up with being in jail. Well, they fucked with the wrong guy because, they don't turn the lights off. It's like living in an insane asylum. You can't really get any sleep. My mattress is about the size of a dish sponge, and the blanket they gave me really makes a paper towel look like it's, sturdy. I had to fold the blanket into quarters to get any kind of insulation from it at all. And so as I'm laying on the hard, cold floor, they also put me in the one-man cell. They're designed for one person. It's got one cot and the commode. There's already a young Mexican kid in there. I don't know how long. He's in there for a couple of weeks, and so I figure he's got seniority for the bunk. But the commode doesn't flush, and it's filled with feces. The place smells terrible. I'm cold and miserable laying on the floor, and like I said, they're doing this to try to soften me up, to try to get me to capitulate. Well, the only thing it does is make me madder than hell. And, I've made a personal commitment that I'm going to shove this so far up their ass, they're going to need a broomstick to touch it. So it's not an easy thing. There is no piece of paperwork that you can submit, and now all the police officers go, oh, gee, Mike, I didn't realize you could do that. You got a special get-out-of-jail card, and, we've just got to leave you alone. It doesn't work that way. I mean, if it did, that's what I'd be selling. Just give me your name, $1,000, and I'll fill out the paperwork and submit it for you, and you don't have to worry about it anymore.
Right.
But it doesn't work like that.
Right.
If you want your liberty, you're going to have to fight for it. At this point in time, it doesn't mean pull out a gun and shoot anybody, but we're getting close. Whenever you go to court, it is a battle without blood. And they lie, they cheat, they steal, they change their very own rules. And it's a pain in the goddamn ass. I mean, it really takes a lot of time out of your life, to challenge this. But how much is your liberty worth? It's like, well, gosh, I got to go to work and got to take the kids to soccer practice. Well, okay, take the easy way and be a slave. I really don't care. everybody's got to make their own choices. I don't have children. I don't have, a wife. I'm all by myself. The only person they're making miserable is me. But I've dedicated myself to making them more miserable than they've made me. One way or another, I am going to restore a constitutional republic to this country, and there is not a goddamn thing they can do to stop me, other than put a bullet in my head.
Well, let's hope it doesn't get to that.
and I hope it doesn't come to that either, but let's face it, the bad guys are not going to walk away, and say, oh, okay, you guys figured out the fraud. We didn't go, hey, Adolf, you really can't be putting people in the ovens, shake our finger at him and stop that. And we had to go and bomb Germany.
Right.
And eventually get him boxed up where he committed suicide in his bunker. I do not believe that we will achieve liberty without bloodshed. I would like to think that it was different. I would love to, and that's what I have a friend who owns libertystickers.com.
Mm-hmm.
It's a website. You go out and buy all these different political stickers. Well, every time I open my mouth, he goes, wow, that's a great quote, and he puts it on vinyl. So there's a half a dozen or more bumper stickers that he sells with quotes of mine. And his favorite is when I said, if the First Amendment doesn't work, the Second Amendment will. Which, everything is really clever, but all I did was paraphrase what John F. Kennedy said. John F. Kennedy said that if you make peaceful revolution impossible, then you make violent revolution inevitable. Things are going to change one way or another. The question is, how many people are we going to have on our side, and are we going to be able to do it without bloodshed? Well, if we had, 50% of the people in the United States, 150 million people stand up and go, fucking A, there's no more, enough is enough, then it would all stop. What are the police going to do? Put all of us in jail?
Well, isn't that what they have these camps set up for?
Well, don't look for me in any of the camps. Don't go walking the fence asking people if they've seen Michael Badnarik, because I didn't make it.
Right.
So I'm living my life as a free person. And, it puts me, in direct opposition to the totalitarian dictatorship we have going on here. That's the way. I have no control over the fact that there's a totalitarian dictatorship. The only thing I have control over is my response to it. And I am not going to, live on my knees, as a slave to somebody else. Won't do it. I mean, what do you think give me liberty or give me death really means? Is that just like a T-shirt slogan?
Well, I think some people think it is.
I know they think it is. Oh my God, give me liberty, give me death. Everybody thinks this is just so wonderful. But they don't really think about what it means. People aren't willing to turn off the damn TV, much less stand up and die for a principle.
Right.
And most people don't even know what the hell the principles are. I give lectures and presentations all the time, and frequently I'll say, raise your hand if you're a good, patriotic American. Well, not surprisingly, everybody raises their hand. Everybody's a good, patriotic American. And I say, okay, raise your hand if you can tell me how many articles are in the Constitution. I'll be lucky to get one or two hands. I said, so what is the criteria for being a good, patriotic American? You know how to dress yourself in the morning? You can get dressed without mama's help, and that makes you a good, patriotic American. Sounds like the standard is pretty damn low.
Well, I'd agree with that. I definitely would.
So, anyway, I, am perceived as, an extremist and a radical, and by many standards, I suppose that's true.
Well, I guess it depends on whose perspective you're coming from.
That's right.
Yeah. Do you believe that the de jure seats in the government are actually empty?
Yes.
And what do you propose we do to get those filled?
At this point in time, I'm promoting a Continental Congress 2009.
Okay.
The primary website is givemeliberty.org. And the Continental Congress is going to convene November 9th through the 22nd. The plan is to get 3 delegates from each state, and like they did with the Declaration of Independence. You know, they were having problems with the king. The taxes were too high. All the laws were terrible, and the government wouldn't listen. You know, they were petitioning. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. So they continued to ask the king to negotiate, and the king refused to talk to them. So they sent a bunch of people to Philadelphia to come up with a solution. You know, analyze the problem, tell us what we ought to do. Well, the answer eventually was this Declaration of Independence. So we are in the same position. The government is out of control, the taxes are too high, the government is not listening to us, and so we are going to send 150 people to, where are we sending them? Pheasant Run, Illinois. It's about 28 miles west of Chicago. It's a big convention center. And 3 people from each state, and we're going to go to Illinois and spend 2 weeks, you know, analyzing the problem and trying to come up to decide what we ought to do about it.
So what can people do to support this?
They can contribute money. They can nominate themselves as a delegate. You can join the conference calls. We've got state conference calls on Wednesday nights and a nationwide conference call on Sunday night. If you want to send me an email, I can, you know, give you some more details.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. I do have a couple more questions, though, first. Okay. And I don't want to lose my track of thought here. Do you have any concerns about Obama's eligibility?
Well, yes, but that's insignificant. You know, whether or not Obama is a legitimate presidential candidate, I mean, it's like, you know, the house is burned down and worrying about whether the window is clean.
Right.
You know, it's like, that's small potatoes. Yes, it's an important issue, but, you know, the fact that we're asking the question ignores the unconstitutional government that we've had since 1933. Well, since 1913, when they passed the Federal Reserve Act.
Well, I thought that we actually haven't had Congress in action at all since Abraham Lincoln.
Well,
since he technically forced the states
back in. And the problem is that people don't understand the concept. They wouldn't recognize a communist government if they were in it. And that's exactly what they've got. So it's an ideological war. It's a war of ideas, and we have to teach people the difference between individualism versus, you know, collectivism.
Right.
And, you know, people are starting to feel the pinch. People are going, hey, this doesn't feel good. You know, something's wrong. No shit, Sherlock. What was your first clue? So, you know, as people start to wake up, I mean, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be changing. And things are going to be changing very, very rapidly. You know, if you don't have food stored up and, you know, guns and ammo to protect it, then you're going to be way behind the power curve. And so, you know, the economy is going to crash. That's not even an option anymore. And paper money, in fact, next month there are rumors that the banks are going to have a bank holiday. That just like FDR did, you know, they're going to close the banks, and nobody's going to be able to get their money out of the bank after that.
Right,
so,
I've heard the same thing.
Well, you know, that can't happen. Why not? I mean, FDR did it, you know, and he was one of Barack Obama's heroes. You know, those of us who are too stupid to have studied history are going to be forced to repeat it. So, the rumor is that the banks are going to close, and then when they come back, they're going to be offering us Ameros at a 6-to-1 rate, $6 per Amero. That's not going to solve anything. So, if you don't have silver or some commodity to trade, you're going to have to grow your own food and generate your own electricity.
Right.
It's going to be what they politely call civil unrest, which is a nice way to say rioting in the street. And you're not going to have to be worrying about the National Guard and the local SWAT team as much as you're going to have to be worried about the rough kids in the neighborhood trying to kick down your door for your last jar of peanut butter. So, I've been stocking up on silver and ammo for the last 10 years. This is not a surprise to me.
Right.
And, people don't want to talk about it. It's like, well, gosh, we're all going to die. Well, I really don't want to talk about that. That's kind of morbid. Well, then don't talk about it. Let's be a surprise. It's not going to change the fact that, sooner or later we're all going to die, and we have been on this, train to tyranny for so long, we're not going to stop it right away. I mean, the train is going to derail, and it's going to crash. We will get liberty eventually, but, it's not going to be pretty between now and then.
Right. As for owning property, do you believe allodial titles are still available, or do you think that...
Yes, they are still available.
Okay. Well, that's good, because that's what I thought too, but I was getting concerned with talking with some other people, and who would you recommend that can teach others on how to obtain the allodial title?
I'm looking for somebody like that, and I had somebody on my radio program, and they talked. They were on for a total of 8 hours. They were on four nights, 2 hours a night, and at the end of 8 hours, I still don't know what the hell they were saying. They may know what they're talking about, but they don't know how to explain it to anybody else. So that turned out to be a waste of time. But if I come up with anything, that will be in my advanced class.
Okay, and when will you come out with that? Tomorrow?
I have no idea. I've got so much free time. I just sit around watching TV and eating ice cream bonbons.
See, you're proving that you're sovereign by doing all of that.
Oh, yeah.
That's what people actually expect to hear, though. Oh, you say you're sovereign? Well, then why are you still, getting bracelets on every once in a while? And why are you still having to do this?
Well, because I'm not willing to pull the trigger and start the Civil War.
Right.
Because I know that it's coming, but I'm not going to be the guy that they blame for starting it. The federal government is going to do something else. They're going to do another Waco, Texas, or Ruby Ridge, or something. Somebody's going to be doing something, and the police are going to come out with guns and kill people, and the American public is going to they're going to riot. Things are going to come unglued. And, there's not a whole lot that you can do about it. If you've been to the county fair and you've had a corn dog and pizza and a gyro and, corn on the cob and cotton candy and you've been riding on the tilt-a-whirl, it may not have happened yet, but you're very likely to need Pepto-Bismol here in a minute.
Yeah.
So
there's definitely something in the air, so to speak.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, we are so close to the edge right now that everybody can tell. I mean, I've been telling people about this for 28 years, and 10 years ago I took all my money out of the stock market. I bought gold and platinum. I had all these precious metals, but then I lost my job and I liquidated all my gold and platinum just to pay the rent and survive. So I'm about $1,000. There's only $1,000 between me and pushing a grocery cart.
Well, then you might actually find your freedom there, right?
Well, I don't have anything for them to take.
Right.
You know, I've got my laptop and I've got my guns. And you might be able to get the laptop away from me, maybe.
I was going to say they'll get the laptop before that.
Yeah. So, and I'm not kidding. I mean, I've already drawn my line in the sand. You know, that when my very first press conference as a presidential candidate, the first question that they asked me was about mandatory vaccinations. What's your position? And my answer was, you bring the syringe, I'll bring my 45, we'll see who makes a bigger hole.
Right.
And here we are talking about health care and mandatory vaccinations. It's like, okay, Honcho, you know, you need more than a goddamn stethoscope.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this whole plan myself. So, besides studying the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and Declaration of Independence, and of course your book, what would you suggest for someone, especially someone that's new to even the thought of sovereignty? What do you suggest they study or do in order to remain sovereign?
Well, at the back of my book, there is an appendix with books, videos, and audios. And you can go through and find something that interests you there. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Personally, I would start with the Federalist Papers and the Anti-Federalist Papers to find out what the Founding Fathers were thinking. But you've got to understand, the Constitution is only a piece of paper.
Right.
You know, the Constitution just has a collection of ideas. And the Constitution is flawed. You know, Article 1, Section 9, Clause 1 says that Congress is not allowed to eliminate slavery until after 1808.
Right.
You know, that's pretty damn embarrassing if you ask me.
Right, at the same time, all men are created equal.
Yeah, there are clearly things in the Constitution which are wrong. Okay, that one's wrong. Well, how do we identify the others? Well, you know, it's in the Constitution, so, quote-unquote, it's constitutional. You know, how would, if you were going to go through the Constitution and eliminate all the bad parts, how would you recognize bad parts? What's your rule of thumb? And the rule of thumb is life, liberty, or property. The only valid, only legitimate existence for government is to protect your life, liberty, and property. That's the only thing they should do. The government should be sitting around twiddling its thumbs, doing nothing until I raise my hand and go, well, I've been violated. But the fact that they are, you know, trying to involve themselves in every facet of my life, you know, I've got to get a driver's license, a marriage license, a permit for that, a permit for that. You know, we were pulled over on the side of the road in Illinois recently, and I was asking the police officer, I said, do you have a church permit? No. I said, well, if you don't need a church permit, why do you think I need a concealed carry permit? And he's like, wow, I never really thought about it. And so I started, you know, asking him, I said, did you take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution? Yeah. How many articles are in it? I don't know. Well, then how can you defend the Constitution if you don't know what it says? And I had these guys rocking back on their heels. You know, they were actually listening, and I gave them copies of my book, and they let us go without a ticket. No warning, no nothing. And the really weird thing is that we had guns in the motorhome that we were traveling in. You know, and we were in Illinois, where, you know, it's like, God, these things are just illegal. And so not only did they not take the guns away from us, all we had to do was unload them and travel on down the highway.
Wow.
It was amazing. I came really, really close to coming into a shootout with police officers. And my mouth was so dry, I could have put cotton in my mouth and I would have been fine. So, anyway, like I said, this is not a metaphor with me. This is not just some parlor game. This is liberty. And either you believe it or you don't. You know, and people are starting to learn about it. But like I said, the whole give me liberty or give me death kind of thing, they really don't get the, well, gosh, that sounds pretty permanent. Yeah, it really is. You know, either, you know, and I tell people that liberty, this is not a matter of life and death. Liberty is more important than that. Because you and I are eventually going to die, but we want liberty to persist in this country forever. And so you got to learn the rules, you got to learn the philosophy, and then you got to find the courage somewhere in your heart to stand up and defend it. You know, if the government came to take your children away, what are you going to do? Wave and say goodbye to Tommy and Susie and ask them to write when they can?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, the government comes and takes your home. You're just going to unroll your sleeping bag on the street and go, damn, I was hoping to watch cable tonight. At what point do you stand up and say, no, God damn it, I'm not putting up with your bull?
Right. Yeah,
So,
I have to agree with you on that.
Well, knowledge is one thing, and that's what I provide with my class. And I try to provide the information that there's no class that I can teach that's going to motivate people to actually grow a hair and stand up and defend it. The Patriot Society, well, we live in a freedom movement. Everybody wants everything for free. I get phone calls all the time. Oh, I don't have a whole lot of money. Can I take your class for free? Like, no, I don't have a lot of money either. You know, this is how I pay the rent. This is how I put food in my mouth. And if you want me to teach my class for free, you're asking me to starve to death, and I'm not going to do that for you. I no exaggeration. I had some woman call from Oregon. She wanted to know if I could come up and teach the class. Yeah, I can teach the class in Oregon. How much is it? $100 per person. Oh, well, we don't have a whole lot of money in Oregon. You know, could you come up and teach the class for free and then just, like, take contributions at the end of the class? I said, well, how about if I teach the class for free and then take everybody out for dinner? She goes, you would do that? I go, no, I'm not going to do that. If you can't afford $100 a piece, then you can't afford liberty. You certainly can't afford to have me come out and teach you about liberty. You know, call me when you get your act together.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to ask you that same question. Not if you would do it for free, but what would it take to get you to come to the York area? I know that you were here.
There's $100 per person, and I need to get somewhere between 20 and 30 people signed up.
Okay.
If I get 30 people, I'll take care of my own transportation. If you can find somebody that's willing to, pay for my airfare and put me up for the night, then I can get by with, a minimum of 20 people. But the idea is I want to come home with $2,000 more than I left with.
Right. And I completely understand that. I mean, none of us should be doing anything that we've taken the time to learn for free. I mean, everything's a give and take, cause and effect type of thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go pick up my car. It's been in the automotive shop for over a week, and so I finally have it ready. And I'm going to go bring it back home. And so, call me if you have any other questions. If you would like to organize a class in your area, let me know. We'll pick a weekend and start advertising it and see how many people we get.
Okay, that sounds really good. I will definitely do that, and I thank you sincerely for your time.
Okay. Well, thank you for reading my book.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Thanks for sending it.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and have a great day.
Okay, you too.